19 years old, dropped out of college, parents disowned him, $800 in his bank account. 10 years later, at 29, billionaire. This is Brian's story. And what he did in those 10 years will make you question everything you were taught about success. His name is Brian. Today, he's 29 years old and worth $2.4 billion. But at 19, he was a college dropout, living in his friend's basement. Brian went to Stanford. Full scholarship. Computer science major. Every parent's dream. Second year, spring semester, Brian had an idea. A big idea. He saw a problem that millions of people had, and he knew how to solve it with software. But building this software required time, full-time focus, not splitting attention between classes and projects. Brian went to his advisor. "I want to take a leave of absence to work on this idea." The advisor laughed. "You have a Stanford scholarship. Don't throw away your future for some app idea." Brian went to his parents. Asian immigrant parents who sacrificed everything for his education. "Mom, Dad, I want to drop out and start a company." His father's response: "If you drop out, don't come back to this house, you're on your own." Brian thought about it for 3 days. Then he dropped out. His parents kept their word. They cut him off completely. No money, no support, no contact. At 19, Brian had $800, a laptop, an idea, and nothing else. His roommate's older brother let him crash in the basement. $200 per month rent. Brian could barely afford it. He worked on his software 16 hours a day, lived on ramen and peanut butter. 1 meal a day to save money. Month 3, he launched version 1.0. Put it online for free. 47 people downloaded it. Most gave up after 5 minutes. Brian was devastated, but not defeated. He spent the next 6 months improving it, talking to users, understanding what they actually needed versus what he thought they needed. Month 9, version 2.0 launched. This time, 2,400 people downloaded it in the first week. Month 10, 15,000 users. Month 11, 67,000 users. Something was happening. But Brian still had zero revenue. The software was free, and he was down to $340 in savings. Month 12. Exactly 1 year after dropping out, Brian made a decision. He added a premium version, $9.99 per month for extra features. Week 1, 340 people upgraded, $3,400 monthly recurring revenue. Week 4, 2,800 people upgraded, $28,000 monthly recurring revenue. At 20, 1 year after dropping out with $800, Brian was making $28,000 per month. More than most Stanford graduates make per year. Year 2, Brian hired his first employee, a designer who believed in the vision. They improved the user experience, made it beautiful, made it essential. Users went from 67,000 to 340,000. Premium subscribers went from 2,800 to 28,000. Monthly revenue, $280,000. At 21, Brian was running a company generating $3.3 million annually. But he wasn't satisfied. He saw something bigger. The problem his software solved. Businesses had it too. Not just individuals. Brian created an enterprise version, $199 per month per user for companies. First business client, a startup with 12 employees, $2,400 per month. Second client, a mid-sized company with 340 employees, $67,000 per month. By age 22, Brian had 1.2 million individual users, 47,000 premium individual subscribers, $470,000 monthly. 89 enterprise clients, $890,000 monthly. Total, $1.36 million monthly revenue, $16.3 million annually. At 22, 3 years after dropping out. Year 4, age 23. Brian got a call from a venture capital firm. "We want to invest $50 million in your company." Brian's company was profitable. He didn't need investment. But $50 million could accelerate growth by 10 years. He said yes, took the money, scaled aggressively, hired 200 employees in 1 year, opened offices in 5 countries, spent $30 million on marketing. The result, users went from 1.2 million to 12 million. Enterprise clients went from 89 to 2,400. Revenue went from $16 million to $240 million annually. At 24, Brian was running a company worth $800 million, according to investors, but he still wasn't done. Year 6, age 25, Brian saw artificial intelligence coming. He pivoted his entire company to integrate AI, made his software 1x more powerful. Competitors were slow to adapt. Brian dominated. By age 26, his company had 67 million users worldwide, 2.8 million premium subscribers, 12,000 enterprise clients, revenue $1.8 billion annually. His company was valued at $8 billion. Brian owned 30% of it. His net worth, $2.4 billion. At 26, 7 years after dropping out with $800. But here's the most powerful moment. Age 27, Brian got invited to speak at Stanford, the school he dropped out from. He stood on that stage and said, "5 years ago, an advisor told me not to throw away my future for some app idea. Today, that app idea is worth $8 billion. Sometimes the biggest risk is not taking the risk." The auditorium erupted. Standing ovation, including from that same advisor. What Brian's story teaches us is revolutionary. Lesson 1. Degrees don't build billions. Execution does. Brian didn't need a Stanford degree. He needed focus and execution. A degree proves you can learn. Building a billion-dollar company proves you can execute. Lesson 219 is not too young to start. Society says gain experience first. Brian said gain it by building. At 19, you have energy, time, and nothing to lose. That's the perfect time. Lesson 3. Free users become paying customers. Brian gave his software away free for a year, built an audience, then converted them to paying customers. Classic land and expand strategy. Lesson 4. Monthly recurring revenue is king. $9.99 per month from 2.8 million users is $28 million monthly. That's $336 million annual recurring revenue. Predictable, scalable, valuable. Lesson 5. Pivot to enterprise changes everything. Individual users paid $9.99 per month. Enterprise clients paid $67,000 per month. Same software, different packaging. 6,700x more revenue per client. Lesson 6. AI integration is non-negotiable. Brian saw AI coming and integrated it immediately. His competitors waited. By the time they moved, Brian had already won. Lesson 7. Your parents don't have to understand. Brian's parents disowned him, called him foolish. At 27, he bought them a house, paid in cash, $3.2 million. They understood then. Right now, someone watching this is 17, 19, or 21. You have an idea, but everyone says, finish school first, get experience, be practical. Brian was 19. His parents disowned him. His advisor mocked him. He had $800. 10 years later, $2.4 billion. The question isn't whether you're too young. The question is whether you're brave enough. Brian didn't wait for permission, didn't wait for the perfect time, didn't wait for everyone to believe in him. He just built. And in 10 years, he went from college dropout to billionaire. Your idea might be worth billions, but only if you're willing to bet on it. Brian's parents told him not to come back if he dropped out. At 27, he bought them a $3.2 million house. Success is the best response to doubt. Like if you're building something that people don't understand yet, Subscribe for weekly stories of people who ignored conventional wisdom and won. Comment your age and what you're building. Let's normalize young entrepreneurs. Share with someone who has an idea but is scared to start. College dropout at 19. Billionaire at 29. Your timeline starts the day you stop asking for permission and start building. Let's go.